This is the plaintiff, Tina Hodge West. She says she worked for the defendant answering phones and bookkeeping for her airport transportation business, and the louse is stiffing her on the $2,500 she still owes her. She doesn't care who this lady thinks she is because she's here fighting for what's right, and that means suing her here and now for the money she's still owed. This is the defendant, Linda Parios. She says she can't believe this woman's suing her for time she says she worked, when in reality, she was in jail. That's right. She was on vacation, and the plaintiff's claiming she worked while she was away, when in reality, she was locked up. Good luck with this lawsuit, lady. She's accused of stiffing an employee. The defendant has filed a countersuit for $5,000 for all she's out.
All parties, please use your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff answers phones for the defendant's airport transportation business and got stiffed. But the defendant says she's asking for time at work when she was actually in jail. It's the case of work release.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. West, you're suing Ms. Parios and Florida Sunshine Express for $2,500
Yes.
in wages that you say you have not been paid, and pain and suffering because your wages haven't been paid. You have a counterclaim against her for $5,000 for loss of revenue, projected loss of revenue as a result of firing her. All right, let's start with you first. What happened?
Well, I worked for her answering phones, and when she hired us, we all agreed, but she'd pay us $10.99. Come to find out, since I worked
Wait, stop. So you're an independent contractor doing what?
answering her phones, working her calendar, putting
What's the counter of? What do they do?
the calendar up for drivers to pick up at the airports.
Okay.
and drop
And
off
are
at
you a
airports.
driver as well?
No.
Okay. Go ahead.
I worked, showed me 2 weeks' pay before she went out of town, and then I worked another week on the next pay schedule. And I, total of 3 invoices. She
So
hasn't
there
paid
should be
any
3
of them.
weeks that you're saying you're
Yes.
owed. Okay, go on.
And I have copies of all of that here, except for one invoice, because you're not allowed to take anything, including your own invoices, out of the office.
Okay.
And I
So-
asked her accountant to mail me a copy, and which I never got. And one of the
Okay,
invoices.
so wait a second. What is it you've brought to court?
The 2 of the invoices for when she was gone, when I answered the phones from home
Okay,
and then
who
went to the
creates
office.
the invoice?
I do.
Okay, and so you are the one who, 2 of the invoices for while she was gone?
Yeah, she went out of town for graduation, and I took
She was
over
gone
the phones.
3 weeks?
No, just the last week.
And then why didn't you get paid before she left?
Because she left before, it runs a week behind.
Yeah, but so what? Isn't someone else in charge of doing your paychecks?
Gets her accountant, but
Okay.
she has to sign off on them.
Oh, okay. And then the bad thing happened before she would sign off on those 2 weeks.
Yeah.
All right. And what was the bad thing that happened?
Well, after working and answering the phones for her for those 4 days she was gone, I was tired. I fell asleep at a light, got rear-ended, got arrested because my driver's license was suspended in Colorado, which is now reinstated, and I had the wrong insurance in my car, and they pulled me up by my married last name, but in Florida I have my maiden last name on my thing. So they said they dropped that charge, lying to a police officer, because I didn't lie to the police officer.
Your license was suspended in Colorado and you were driving?
Yeah,
Did you know your license was suspended?
yes, and that was my bad.
Did you have a Florida driver's license? You're from Sarasota?
I do now.
Oh, but you didn't have it then. You
No,
were just
no.
driving on a suspended license.
Yes.
So you were arrested appropriately. And then how long did you arrested and taken to jail, or promised to appear?
Taken to jail until the next day. I was there less than 24 hours.
Okay, and while that happens, who's minding the phones?
She was home. She had flown back in that day. The day I got arrested, she was.
Did you let her know that you got arrested?
My roommate did, and I have a letter from her also.
Okay,
sharing
and
it
your license
during
was suspended for what in Colorado?
I don't remember. It was.
I'm going to find out.
It was
Just
a
tell me.
speeding ticket. It was a speeding ticket.
Speeding tickets don't suspend licenses.
It was maximum points.
Oh, so it was more than one speeding ticket. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but.
Was it a DUI?
No.
Okay.
I don't drink and
Okay.
don't even
okay.
take Tylenol half the time, so.
Okay. So let me see then your proof of your hours that you submitted.
These are the 2 that I have.
All right. Now, these purport to cover a period of time from April 23rd through May 1st, you are owed $628, you say. And how do you calculate that if you weren't able to get the bill?
I can remember the 628.
You just did it by memory?
I couldn't remember the cents. So.
Okay. So how do you find out that you're being fired?
I finally call her 2 weeks later, and she lets me know over the phone.
But you didn't work for those 2 weeks, so you had a pretty good idea.
I had a pretty good idea.
Right. And then she tells you what over the phone?
That I was fired. They had let me go. They had hired
And did she tell you why she fired you?
Well, I understood why, which was fine. I got arrested.
Yeah, but if you got arrested for, driving with a suspended license and you were such a great employee, why would she fire you over that if she needed?
I have letters stating how good of an employee, and I have a witness.
I got a feeling she wanted to get rid of you anyway. What was the reason that you fired her?
When I realized, after requesting valid identification from both myself and my human resources manager on several occasions.
You're the human resources manager?
I do the payroll.
Okay.
And there was she did not produce identification. I can't have anybody working for me that doesn't have a valid Florida driver's license.
Okay, so you were worried about who she was. You didn't have, but you don't have to have a valid Florida license. You just have to have valid ID. She could have a passport that would tell you who she was.
We never received any form of valid ID.
Okay.
Not only that, we pulled the report. We pulled the arrest record. We found out she was a repeated felon.
What were the other felons? Driving with a
arrest.
suspended license, not a felony in Florida. It's a misdemeanor.
That's just what it says.
It says habitual felony offender status.
That'll do it. So you don't want her there anymore. I got it.
No.
So now we got to figure out what it is that she's owed, because you hadn't
Yes.
paid her in how long by the time she got arrested? 2.5 weeks?
2.
Okay, 2.5 or 2? Because the 14th of May, which is the day that she gets arrested, is a Monday.
That starts a new pay period.
That starts a new pay period. So but according to her, she had worked the week of April 23rd, right?
Yes, I have
the
that.
The week of April 30th, right?
The 23rd, the week of 23rd, she was paid on the previous payroll check.
Okay. I don't want to know that she got paid on the 23rd for prior work. I want to know where is the proof of her hours for 23 through 27. Ms. West, you're claiming to me that you're entitled to pay for the week of 4/23 to 5/3, and that the documents that they've produced start at a time after that. But now I'm seeing a pay stub that they've handed me, and this says pay period 4/14 to 4/27, and that you got paid for that pay period.
They run a week.
I haven't finished. $287.50 to cover that pay period. So that would mean that you shouldn't be in court suing for 4/23, 24, 25, 26, or 27 at all.
They run a week behind. That was for 2 weeks.
No, my dear.
No.
The pay period refers to the time worked. That may get paid to you a week later, but that's covering the pay period. Does anybody have the actual check?
No.
Do you?
No, I never got the check.
Do you? Well,
Yes, she did.
I'm sorry.
The 250, but not the 628.
$287.50.
That was for 1 week.
$287.50 covered 4/14 to 4/27.
That was for 1 week.
No, it covers.
I have the bills right here that shows.
Are these new bills you created after you got fired, or are these something that you have from back then?
No, I couldn't take anything out.
So then they're created. I'm not interested in anything you created after you got fired, because they're made up from your head if you couldn't take anything out. So what I want is proof from your pay stubs. You get your pay stubs? Okay.
I don't.
And did you guys bring proof of this being cashed? Are you able to get access to the bank account?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can show
And
you.
we can get access to all
Okay,
of
do it
the
right now. Can
emails
you
on
just
your
sit
phone.
down calmly and
That one I did get paid on.
hold
but
on,
it's
I'm not asking you a question. Did you cash this? Am I going to find out you cashed this?
That one, yes, because that was.
I just asked you if you got the $287.50.
Yes, I got the 287, but that's not the one that's in question.
For a pay period of 4/14 to 4/27. That's what your paycheck says. That means that covers the hours that take us to 4/27. Then your next pay period would be for the hours that you were. In fact, it's authored on 5/4/218. That's why it's authored a week late. So it's not, they're running a week late, so that doesn't cover. That's you trying to get paid for 4/23 through 4/27 when you'd already been paid in this pay check that you are now telling me, yeah, Judge, I did get that and I did cash it. So did you cash it?
Yes.
Okay.
There's an invoice, though, that she was supposed to pay that.
You know what the
that she got
problem
back was
is? That you
$628.
come to court and you're filing a lawsuit, and for it to be the amounts you're asking for, I got to trust you. And I got a couple things going on. You're driving with a suspended license. You have a different ID. You're charged with lying to the cops about who you are. Apparently, they asked for your real name, which is the one, I guess, with the suspended license, right?
Yes.
And so you deliberately, it wasn't in your best interest to tell them that, so you didn't, and then they found out because you apparently, through your fingerprints or something, that you had a suspended license over in Colorado.
That's
and
not
then
what
I
happened.
have you telling me how many hours you worked and saying, trust me, Judge.
That's not what
Trust me.
happened.
And yet I have the paycheck that you're now admitting you did get that specifically says this covers until 4/27, and you're looking at it, but that just says 4/27 is when they did it. But it's not when they did it. They do it on May 4th to cover the period to 4/27. All right,
Your Honor,
according
they
to
did owe
you
me.
guys, you guys have
Listen.
the hours that she provided for 4:30
Yes.
through 5/3.
Yes.
And this says she's owed $250.
Yes,
right?
that's correct.
And then you have the hours that she provided from 5/7 to 5/12, and that says she's owed $343.75. Right? And then the $343.75, when it's time to pay that one, you've got this that she's already submitted, and then she submits the one that says, wait a minute, it's $462.50, that's the ticket, and you guys say foul play. All right, how much do you think she's owed for that week?
We have the calculations.
Is it less than the $343.75?
Yes. Yes.
And how did you deduce that it was less than that?
Because she indicated that she was in the office at times that she could not possibly
How did
have
you
been in
deduce
the
that?
office. Because none of
wasn't
us
there.
were in the office.
This is what we've figured out.
But it was after the arrest that you suspected it and looked into it for the first time. You'd never rejected any of her invoices before she got arrested, did you?
I never reject any of my employees' invoices.
Okay. Then we have what you say she filled out that says she's entitled to $343.75. She then sends you another invoice covering that period saying she's entitled to much more. So you decide that you're now going to audit because there's something wrong here.
And there's other factors involved as well, Your Honor.
And the other factors are what? Tell me about them.
So if she lied about her criminal record, but she worked 2 weeks, does she get paid?
It depends on what the documents say.
Gotta give me a yes or no. There's no document.
No, she does not get paid,
Even though she worked.
even though she worked.
Really? What do you say?
I think she should, because they should have done their job and done a background check, and if they didn't do it, then she should get paid for the time she worked.
But they asked her, and she said, "I don't have one," when she did.
That's fraud.
Did she get paid?
No.
Okay. Going inside the courtroom.
When she was incarcerated, we had 2 customers that were left at 2 different airports. I lost a $1,000 a month customer.
Because they were stranded.
They were stranded with no drivers. Tina sent a manifest, which we printed for you, with the wrong time and the wrong pickup date. I was on an airplane. I got back to 56 text and voice messages from a hysterical customer who hadn't been picked up.
Okay. And they fired you?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
It only happens once in this business.
Right.
That was the first customer.
Go
The
on.
second customer was a young woman, brand new customer that we picked up for a long-term contract, travels 3 times a month, booked a ride for his sister. She was stranded at the airport. I got a call from Tina's roommate letting me know she was in jail. 15 minutes later, this woman's
What time
calling.
was the phone call telling you she was in jail?
It was after I started on Tuesday morning. It's probably in my phone. I would say it was.
So the day she doesn't show up for work is on Tuesday?
The first day she did not show up for work was Tuesday, yes, Your
Okay,
Honor.
so she showed up for work on Monday?
No, she didn't.
Yeah, for a few hours. That's
Yes, ma'am, excuse me.
Okay. How many hours did she show up for work at?
About 2 hours and 15 minutes.
2.25 is what we
Say
have.
it again, to what?
2.25 is what we have.
How long do you say you worked on 514?
I have a really bad memory. Hold on. Oh. About 3.5 hours, maybe, or 2 hours.
And your conclusion, maybe, or 2 hours? Okay. And she was paid how much an hour?
$12.50 for excellent work.
You don't get to pay less. You get to fire her if you don't like her. So then, according to you, she's owed $28.12 for the day of May 14th. You believe that what you owe her, as opposed to what she is seeking, is $250 for the week of 4/30, $250 for the week of 5/7
Yes, Your Honor.
and $28.12 for the Monday,
Yes, Your Honor.
for a total of $528.12.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you feel that you shouldn't have to pay her because you have filed a counterclaim against her for the sum of $5,000. Explain your counterclaim to me.
Okay, just for the one customer that we lost because his sister was standing at the airport waiting for a driver that was never
On what
dispatched.
day was that?
The 15th.
Okay, but the 15th, you got a call in the morning from her roommate saying she's not coming to work.
And then the call came in from Eliza that she was stranded at the airport.
Meaning, okay, how are you going to prove that that's on her, I guess?
Because it was her duty to cover my office while I was out of town.
No,
She billed me for all the days that she diligently worked.
Just because you bark,
while I
it
was
doesn't mean
out
I'm
of
going to
town.
rule in your favor. I need you to listen to what my question is.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My question is, how are you going to prove that you lost that client because of her? Do you have something from the client?
I don't have anything from the client, but we've
Okay.
not heard from him since. And his weekly appointment schedule with
Okay.
us was 3
But
times
I'm-
out and 3 times
Right.
back.
If you want me to order her to pay you for that loss of revenue, which is legitimate, that could be, you're going to have to prove to me that that was her fault.
Her job was to enter into the calendar. It wasn't entered.
Okay, how does that sheet show that?
Because it's in her handwriting and it wasn't in my calendar. The driver was not there.
Okay.
If it was in the
Let me
calendar,
see
the driver
what
would have
the
been at
sheet
the
says.
airport, Your Honor.
Is that the sheet for the day that's missing this pickup? Is that what you're trying to
Yes,
say?
that
Okay.
is the actual appointment card.
Okay.
Written by Tina.
Okay, so did it have the wrong time or what?
She never dispatched the driver. She never put
Okay,
it
I'm
into
sorry.
the
So she
calendar.
filled this out.
Yes,
All right, and then her job is to put it in the calendar.
Yes, and
All right.
dispatch the driver
Don't
while
yell
I
at
was
me.
out of town.
And so, so how are you going to prove to me that she didn't put it in the calendar? Show me your calendar that doesn't have it. I don't know.
the customer was left at the airport.
Okay, do you not understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
What I'm saying to you is the customer might be left
I
for
need
the
my
airport.
laptop to produce the
Okay, well,
calendar.
that's your problem. So I got to be able to see it's her screw-up before we can even talk about how much you should be getting. So on your counterclaim against her is 0. And on your claim against her, you've got to understand, Ms. West, that your credibility is garbage here because I have 1,000 reasons to question your credibility. You have an excuse for everything. You have different forms put in, and I believe very wholeheartedly that those forms are put in before you left, just like she says they were. And when litigation ensues, all of a sudden, you're owed a bunch more money than what you're saying you're owed. So I'm going to go with by what she says, because I can't trust what you say. Okay? So I find that you are owed not $2,500, but $528.12. And I find that you need to pay the $528.12 because she doesn't have to reimburse you for stuff that either you haven't been able to prove in court, certainly not $4,000 in court preparation. So my verdict in this case on the plaintiff's lawsuit is $528.12, which is what you agree you should owe her. And on the counterclaim against you, 0. That's my verdict.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, in a lawsuit that certainly provided evidence of the need for accurate evidence and dated information, this was one of them. I'm sorry you lost your
That's okay. We're happy to
countersuit.
have her gone.
This sounded like a very simple case.
It was very simple.
Yeah.
Do not hire felons.
No.
Very simple.
Well, that's your problem, okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Sorry about this. You
Thank
got to
you.
pay her.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you got to pay her $528. Okay?
She was owed that.
Thank you. Yes,
Take
ma'am.
care.
Good enough. Okay. You know, Ms. West, I'm really intrigued by one thing. Throughout this whole case, you kept talking to her because we didn't hear boo from you, you know?
No, they didn't ask me.
Anyway,
questions.
your past didn't help you.
I'm not a felon. It was dropped. It was, I would,
Yeah,
even
but
the
it's-
state
the
of Colorado
records are
says.
there, you know.
Well, then they need to update the records because
Well,
they could call the state of Colorado and
Sorry
find
about
out.
all these. You didn't get $2,500, you know?
No, that's all right.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Harvey?
You know, it's ironic here, Doug. Her criminal record shot her credibility.